All right, so now I just need to figure out how to get the link that shows me where it is live so I can...
Yeah, I was actually going to do that too. I was like, can I share this?
In case anybody has questions. I'm sure people might have questions.
So I do one of these with some bunch of miniature guys too. Rocky's War Room. So I'm used to being on StreamYard. I like StreamYard. I just...
Right.
Matt paid for the whole shoot match, which is kind of cool. It gives some more options, but I didn't do that. So,
all righty, looks like we got a couple people here. Yay for us, Al, Red Sox fan.
Oh boy, Al. Oh boy.
Trollofor Beck, probably butchering his name here, but Trollofor Beck. Thank you for joining us, guys. Appreciate it. It is me, IDJESTER, and of course I'm with ITINERANTHOBBYIST, and we're going to sit around and just talk wargaming and stuff. So
let's talk wargaming.
We should have a great time talking about all the stuff that we really, really enjoy. So ITINERANTHOBBYIST, if people aren't familiar with you or aren't familiar with your channel, why don't you just give everyone kind of a broad overview and say, hey, come see me because I do this.
Yes, come see me because I do this. Oh, wait, you want more details. Okay, so it's Itinerant Hobbyist. You can see on the thing there. I like to choose a nice, hard, long, complicated name. And then on YouTube, it's Itinerant Hobbyist, all one word. I thought of that name because it was kind of like, oh, traveling hobbyist, right? I like miniature, I like board game, and there's other like arts things that I'm interested in. And who knows, maybe I'll make videos on those. So I kind of did it like that. That was the thinking behind the name Itinerant Hobbyist. I was thinking of itinerant preacher, kind of traveling from, place to place. So real name Todd. I am on YouTube as Itinerant Hobbyist. I do have a blog, but I don't do much with it. But it's Itinerant Hobbyist. I think at WordPress, however that works. .com, and then I'm on Facebook as well as Todd Reed with the right now it's the, oh gosh, I always forget, is the 82nd Airborne has the Eagle? Yes.
Yes.
No, that's 100. Well, yes.
101st.
101st is the Eagle. So that's currently my avatar. I need to change it. I've had that up a while, but so I'm on Facebook as well. So really,
you're all over. You're on Facebook. You're on YouTube. You got it all going on.
It's
so all somebody needs to do is just type in Itinerant Hobbyist and something will come up.
Something will come up, yeah.
But definitely check out his YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you go subscribe to his channel. It does a lot of great stuff, which we're going to talk about here. So wargaming. How long have you been in wargaming? Is it something new hobby? Has this been something you've been doing forever? What?
So my dad had a Panzer Leader sitting down in I remember the cabinet where it was stored in our den, and I discovered it. And I don't think I ever saw him play it. Maybe one time with his brother, my uncle, but anyway, so it was fair game. I could do it. He had Tactics 2 and Panzer Leader. And Tactics 2, I guess, was probably the first one I pulled out because I understood it. It was much simpler. And then Panzer Leader I pulled out and would mess around with. I'm not sure I ever played Panzer Leader with the rules. It was kind of like I read them, but I didn't really get them. So that was my first time ever seeing war games. I thought it was cool. I've been World War II history has always been kind of my thing because my grandfather was involved in the 12th Armored Division, and he had a drawer. I keep saying drawers and cabinets. He had a drawer of stuff upstairs in their house, and I'd go through that and look at the maps and the photos of he and his fellow Army unit dudes and veterans. And that was cool, and that kind of helped draw me in. And then I was in Kansas, and we had Abilene, so I'd go see the Dwight D. Eisenhower Library, and I thought that was like a mecca and the best place ever, and it might be the best place ever. I really want to go back there, check it out as an adult. So there's that history, and then so that kind of happened, and then I would say it was very stagnant. Nothing much happened with it until I'm trying to think of when I bought. I think Squad Leader might have been my very first. Oh, no, I'm sorry. When I was a kid, I'd save money up, and there was a game store in Wichita, Kansas. It's now gone, of course, but it was very cool. And I was a very introverted, shy kid, and I never I never told this to anybody. It was always a solo thing. I was an only child, but I bought Storm Over Arnhem, which is an area placed the Storm Over series. Now there's a bunch of them about Arnhem, because I'd seen A Bridge Too Far, and that was, you know, a great movie in my mind at the time, and it's still a pretty good movie in my mind. But so I got that Storm Over Arnhem, and then like BattleTech, Ambush. And, you know, I just remember going to the store, saving my money for who knows how long I had to save my money for these, but just a bunch of games like that. And again, I would read them and kind of tinker around with them and not do much with them. And then, of course, at some point I sold them, or I don't know what I did. If I say throw them away, I'm going to have a heart attack right now.
Right. It's like, damn.
But I don't know what I did with them. Honestly, I'm selling in a garage sale or something. Anyway, Car Wars was another one I had. I'm always just doing solo play. In fact, I even had some sports games. I had that. My dad had that NFL flip game that you would flip the little ball on the spring, in NFL strategy. You can find it on Board Game Geek, and it would, you know, you put your defensive and your offensive cards on this, like, I think the defense overlaid over the offense, and you'd slide into this little clear viewer, flip this ball with a spring, and go tick, 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 and it'd stop on the play in the yardage.
I never heard of that. Yeah, maybe Al, Red Sox fan, he knows everything. Every sports game ever. Maybe he'll know the name of it. Yeah, I've brought it up before on his channel for sure. But anyway, I loved it, and you know, there's no differentiation of teams. It was just offense and defense, and really it was about who could call the better plays and all that stuff. And the spring, how good was that spring on the ball? But it's cool when you pull the card out, it would, you know, grab like it had like notches on it, and that would determine how long the play was. So if it was a running play, the cutout was, I'm going to get it wrong, but the cutout was longer, and it would catch something and it would rotate the clock automatically. How cool is that? So if it was a running play, the clock would go further off, and if it was a passing play, it'd go shorter. I don't think it made much difference whether it was incomplete or complete. It couldn't differentiate that, but that's kind of cool that it kept track of that. But I would set up my own seasons, and I'd set up my own leagues, and I'd draw out and sketch out football uniforms and play, you know, seasons, just like I see now. These grown men doing, I was doing as a 14-year-old. And there was also a 3M game that you used not dry erase, but grease pencil. Right. And the 3M, it wasn't a bookcase, it was a wider box, you know. So that was another one I played. And then that all went away. And I would say when it was I discovered girls, but I'm not sure I ever, well, let's just say the girls never discovered me. So maybe a couple did. And I found my wife. But then after I was married, I moved back all these places. I bought Squad Leader, and I tried playing it with, and when I think about when I bought it, it would have been like mid 90s. So it had already, you know, Advanced Squad Leader had already come out, because that came out in like 85, right? Something like that. Yeah. So it had been at least probably 10 years, but this game store in Wichita still had Squad Leader boxes sitting around. And I bought it, and I remember trying to play it with my friend Nevin. And he and I played probably that first scenario and played a couple turns, and it took us forever, right? Because when you're playing a game for the first time, right, trying to figure it all out, right? Okay, so how do you move your figure? I mean, everything. What's movement? I don't understand what movement points are. What does that mean? But and that was the only time we played it. And then again, I don't know what happened to that box. So I did that, and not until I moved to Missouri, and I met a guy through my wife. Blah blah blah. Long story. And he was a gamer, and he played games. And Lisa said, kind of like what you bought, because at some point I'd also bought Stratomatic, and I still owned it, and I'd, you know, as an older person. And so I got involved with him, and he and 4 others, we own Geek Way to the West. Just kind of zoom the story forward. So these guys are really hardcore Euro, Amera gamers. Not much war game, though a little bit, but mainly Euro gamers. And so now I'm one of the owners of Geek Way to the West, a 3,000 person convention that happens in St. Louis, like mid-May. This year it'll be in mid-June, then it'll be May again for the following years. From 23 states, 24 hours. And how do people find out information if they want to come to this convention? They would go to a Geekway, so GEEKWAY. So like Gateway to the West, but we're Geekway to the West. Oh. We're clever. Geek Way to the West tickets. And I mean, this is not an ad. I had no idea that I knew. So this is not. That's fine. You can matter to me. Yeah. take as much time as to talk about whatever we want to talk about. That's all this is about. So
anyway, you can go. Tickets will go on sale in January. We already kind of had our patron sales, which kind of pre-sales, but we'll have them. Tickets are, ticket sales go for a couple months. We don't sell out super quickly, though we normally do sell out, which is pretty cool. But anyway, geekwaytothewest.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter and website. So go to the website and you can check it out. It's really cool. Basically, it started in the basement of some guy's house, Jay Little, who actually created X-Wing back when it came out. But in the basement of his house, he got 13 friends together. So let's just have a weekend of gaming. And then they did. And then the next year they invited a few more, and then blam, went out 3,000. It's been crazy.
Awesome.
But that guy, Jay, a different Jay, there's two Jays, a different Jay, I just kind of realized this whole world. I discovered Board Game Geek, and I'm like, I didn't even know these people were still playing these games, right? And like Stratomatic, I'm like, there's a ton of people playing Stratomatic and whatever, all these games. I just didn't realize it. And so I kind of...
Oh, no. He's going to get me started on Stratomatic, Al.
ID, what do you think about... Never mind. I don't... Side note, I would say, I don't play them enough of those games to really be able to judge whether one's better than the other. But, the cool thing about Strato is it gets people like me in, right? Because they're good at getting their stuff out there. And I did remember reading a story about a bunch of, I think they were KU, where I went to school, University of Kansas, professors who used to play that. They'd have their own seasons, right? Back in the day, it said a different kind of fantasy or something, fantasy baseball, because fantasy baseball, with the stats and track and all that was kind of a bigger, big deal in the 90s when people would look at the paper and do it themselves and create spreadsheets and Yahoo groups or whatever. Well, these guys were playing this crazy board game called Stratomatic, and I thought, that sounds kind of cool, Right. I was never into fantasy baseball because I don't know enough about it to be able to do that, but Strat was fun. So anyway, Strat's kind of like Warhammer, it's a good entryway. It gets a lot of people in, and then you discover either you like it or maybe you discover all the other things that are good and fit your style. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. I started doing wargaming. I discovered Combat Commander, and I actually understood the rules. One best rule sets ever. And if we could have just a second of silence for Chad Jensen, who just passed away this last week.
Yeah, I just saw that like 2 days ago. Chad Jensen, designer, developer of not only Combat Commander, but the new Fighting Formations as well. So just passed away. I think he was only 54 too. Yep. I don't know what happened to him, but he was not. I'm sorry?
He had hardcore cancer. Just really.
Did he have cancer?
The cool thing is, Kai Jensen, his wife, was a developer and worked in gaming with him. And so she was always at GMT West and all that. And I've never met them, just communicating with Chad through Board Game Geek and Facebook, asking questions and, saying I liked your game and whatever, just kind of that. He's always a very proactive guy. And then you just kind of saw Kai working with him on games, and you can see her name it's all over the games. They'd go to shows together. And the cool thing about them, though, was, they were typical middle-aged people, kind of looking like we do, right? Gaining weight and doing whatever. And they went on some serious diet like many years ago and working out, and they'd show pictures of them working out, and they both lost weight and maintained that for the rest, for the rest of his life. And Kai's continuing to do that. That always inspired me. I've never struggled with that, but a lot of us do, and just it's hard to do that. And seeing them do that and living their life together, and then still gaming and just doing stuff, they just seem like an amazing couple. And Kai just seems like an amazing person too. And so it's been interesting, sad to watch that. And recently lost my dad to cancer too. So like within like a week before Chad went. So I just really, it was very raw to me. So it's like, oh boy. But anyway, Combat Commander, amazing rule set, and made me realize, oh wait, I can learn these games, and they're not as hard as I thought they were. I was remembering when I was a 14-year-old trying to learn Panzer Leader, and I'm like, I do not get this.
So would you, not to interrupt you, but
no, I need to stop.
My feeling in Combat Commander, and let's see what your thoughts are, is I think Combat Commander is one of the best introductory war games for somebody. If you got a friend out there and you're like, hey, why don't you come over to my house to play some war games? And they're like, well, I don't know anything about war games. Combat Commander is kind of like a typical great introduction to wargaming. How do you think about that?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I think it's cool because he incorporated some Euro mechanics, right? Like if
Right,
you're finding formations and the little uh, resource tracker, essentially, right? I mean, and so he's kind of, I think he's a little bit of a Euro gamer at heart as well as a war gamer and just a good designer. And it's really good because the questions, there's not a lot of questions. I mean, it's in the rule book, and if you're having trouble, you just read the rule book and it's good. I mean, it's all there. I would say, yeah. I mean, yeah, especially if they've never war game, they won't have those preconceived notions that it kind of counteracts a little bit.
Right. It teaches basic concepts like cover value. What is cover value? Why do I want to keep my guys in buildings and woods as opposed to just keeping them out in the open? What's the difference between these? Why would I put my guys in the buildings? Range for attacks. How far can my guys shoot? So I think it teaches a couple of the core mechanics without making it, too complex for people to kind of grasp around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I said, and hexes, even the concept of hexes, and like you said, how do you count out range? And the cool thing about it, though, one thing I like about it, obviously all those games have dice, right? So you can kind of blame the dice for your poor play. I mean, for your bad luck. But the cards kind of help you know what you can and can't do. It's almost like the memoir command and colors system.
Right.
The cool thing about it is it limits your choices. And sometimes I think what people I struggle with war games is like even how to set them up. Like, I don't know. You can lose the game in your setup, right? Well, that's not a fun way to be. That's why I like when beginning scenarios like for ASL starter kit or lock and load or combat commander, they tell you put your pieces in this spot, and this spot. Because to me, it's like when you're looking at that, you're like, I don't even know. Like my dad would struggle with that a little bit. He would always be like, it just was a jumbled mess to him. I'd be like, wow, what am I supposed to do here? But the cards limit your choices, which is some people don't like, but I think as a beginner, it's nice. Because like, well, I can only move and I can't shoot right now, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'll move this guy. Yeah, and just that it's all in the cards and all your exceptions in that case, and everything's on the cards for the most part. I know there's little things, but whereas like ASL, even starter kit, there's a lot of little things you have to remember all the time, and that could be a challenge. And I eventually tried starter kit and got the full ASL and all that, and I think it's an amazing system. The community is fantastic, and the depth, I'm not sure it'll ever be beaten, right? It's awesome. I've moved away from it, but that's only for my mentalness, not because it's a bad game. I have a great community here I could tap into. Jim Burris, who runs the St. Louis Convention, created a Burma pack. Super great teacher, humble guy, comes to your house, teaches you. I can't say enough about Jim Burris, but I was just like, I even felt bad telling him. I'm like, I can't do this. It's too much here for me. But
right, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about different game systems, different game companies. So first of all, there's lots of different eras as a war gamer. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite? What do you like to? If you only had one era, and you had to pick one, is there a favorite?
Yeah, just go to my channel and you'll see what it is. There's no question about it. In fact, I think my friends who I was telling you about a game with here, they get kind of tired of me. Todd, expand your horizon. It's World War II. I mean, I think because of my family history. I mean, most of us have some family history, but it just captivated me. And I've tried other eras, like ancient, whatever. I've tried a lot of them, and it just doesn't captivate me. And now that I'm nearly 50, I'm kind of reaching this point, like, you know what? If it doesn't captivate me, it doesn't captivate me, and that's cool. Right. Like I think ACW would be cool. I think Revolutionary War would be cool. And I've got a Revolutionary game and a Civil War game, and I'll keep them. But as I kind of find myself, especially lately, and you and I were talking before I got on here, I've just mentally been overwhelmed with work and family and stuff. I'm talking about even before my dad passed, just stuff going on. And I'm like, well, if I have limited mental energy, right? Just like money and time. Well, what am I going to spend it on? I'd love to. Some of these guys are amazing that you watch their videos and they play many different systems and many different games, eras. And I'm just like, that's awesome. I just don't know. I'm a pretty basic guy. So World War II. How about you?
I'm exactly like you, and maybe that's why we relate so well together. Is I am World War II 99%. I can do a little bit of, say, World War One, but you start talking like Civil War, Revolution War, Ancient Era. Doesn't it just doesn't drive me like you. It just I start playing it, or I start setting it up, and I go, I'd rather be playing something World War II. And the cool part about World War II, especially when we're talking about game systems and wargaming and everything, is you have such a variety during World War II. You have tank combat, you have infantry combat, you have ships, you got planes, you have big open areas in the Pacific War. You got tight-in areas like in the Bocage in Normandy. You have, open steppes in Russia. I mean, there is, just in World War II, there is still quite a variety of, what the game can be.
Yeah.
So I think, that's, if I get bored playing, say, East Front games, I can always go and play, Mediterranean, or I can go play subs, or I can go play the Battle of Britain and see if I can fend off the Luftwaffe. There's just so many variety of games for World War II. When you're talking like ancient times, it's line your pieces up and then try to figure out the best way to kill your enemy. That's it. I mean, there's not a lot of variety in my estimation. And you talked about this earlier about history. When I was growing up and in high school and everything, I could care less about history because none of it mattered to me. I didn't care about it. Nowadays, I'm like 180% different. I'm like complete opposite. Everything that drives me is based upon history. What had happened in World War II and what had happened on this day in World War II, and finding out all that interesting stuff. And I go back and I look back and I think, oh my God, when I was growing up, I could care less about this stuff. And if you'd have told 18-year-old me, oh yeah, in 20 years, you're really going to care about all this stuff, I'd been like, no, there's no way. I care less about it. But it's funny how you don't care about history until you can relate to it. As soon as it's like, oh, I like World War II, then all of a sudden I cared about the history of World War II.
So what, and if you said this and I missed it, sorry, but why World War II again? Like, why did that one grab you? And why did history did something happen, or did you see a movie or read a book or something like kind of like, oh wait, there's more, there's something here?
I don't know if it was anything specific. It just, watching, shows like Baba Black Sheep, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. This is pretty interesting. Kind of caught my attention. And then the more, you think about it, the more movies you watch, it's like, this is, pretty interesting. U-571, the submarine. Oh, and all of a sudden I'm interested in submarines. I have to go find out all about all of the submarines. So I don't know if there's one thing specifically. How about you? Was it something that clicked for you, or just kind of happened?
Well, I mean, like I said, it was World War II movies always captivated me. Finding my grandpa stuff when I was 7 or 8, so I'd always been interested in it. And I think just those movies capture me. And when you have, people our age, when you had a relative that was still, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. He had Parkinson's, but other relatives and stuff, but you could talk to, just makes it real. Right. I mean, and I think that's part of it for me. And I think that's just a big part of it. I think
the other fact is it's 50, 60, 70 years old now, but when I got interested in it, it was only maybe 40 or 50 years old,
40 years
so it still was relevant. They still had information about it, and they talked about it, and your grandfather had experienced it, so it was still something that was like relevant. You don't hear anybody really talking about the Revolutionary War every day.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe that's why. And I think it's also where you have, you know, as I talked about many different theaters in World War II, you also have tanks, you have U-boats, you have ships, you have airplanes, you have bombers, you have jungle fighting, you have desert combat. So no matter what you're interested in, you can probably find part of that in World War II.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's so many places to go with this conversation. So, man, yeah, like I used to be. My grandfather was in the Army in the armored division, and so I was interested in that part, but I was always more interested in I'd always interested in airplanes. In fact, I got my pilot's license at one point to possibly pursue that as a career. So I always focused on air power, or all the airplanes of World War II. I could have told you what everything was at one point. I've kind of forgotten some of it now. And then also the ships. I was never interested in ground combat, which is interesting. And then now I'm like completely opposite. I'm not that interested. And so when you talk about gaming, I really couldn't be bothered to do an air war game. And naval, I've kind of dabbled in. In fact, at some point I'm going to probably jump off here and go get something I just received that I want to share with you. But naval related. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting why that flipped. I'm not really sure, but that is a cool thing. So that there's so many different things you can do. I recently almost jumped up on a Kickstarter of in fact, I had bought it and then I got out of it before it released. Little moment of clarity there popped into my head a few months ago. But it was a game called Cav, and it's a mecha game, kind of like BattleTech, but different, obviously different rules and different kind of different scale and stuff, but similar type of concept, mechs and tanks, and it's actually more combined arms than BattleTech is. But a little simpler, a little bit more streamlined, not simpler, but more streamlined, more modern kind of from what BattleTech is. I think it's amazing BattleTech has survived around and going, and it's great that it is. But anyway,
years and years and years now.
Oh, yeah, it's like ASL, same kind of time frame. But Cav is cool, and what's interesting is I've been on some chats on another Rocky's War Room who does miniature painting and miniature gaming, and I've been on a stream with them regularly. And John, the creator of Cav, came on there and was just sharing some stuff. Great guy. That's like we were talking about Chad. I mean, there's so many people in this hobby, both miniature and board. It's totally, open to talking to the fans and the users of their product. And anyway, John, super great guy. He was on the stream with us and we're talking about it. And I just got excited and ordered it. I'm like, I'm getting,
right.
Kickstarters are, and like, I'll take everything. Who cares? And
only money. Who cares? Yeah. I get a check next week anyway.
Yeah. I hope it's already gone. Anyway. So I did it, and then before that had even happened, I'd kind of made a resolution in my mind to kind of simplify some of my gaming. And then as I thought about it, and the reason I backed out of it was not for the game at all. I still wanted to support John and his company, but ultimately decided it was best for me not to do this. But I just thought through it because, there's factions and there's different equipment and personalities and all this stuff. And I thought, wait a minute, I've got that already in World War II. I mean, think about the evolution of the tanks and the weapons, the personalities involved, and all that stuff, all that depth and all that stuff is there, especially if you go before 39, like when China and Japan started going, if you get into that, and up to 45, it's easily a 10-year period of the world. The whole world was going at this at some level or other. And I've got what I need. It's just, you kind of have to kind of, where some of us gamers have a little trouble focusing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Anyone watching this channel gets it, whether they play war games or sports games. Like, I'll just say, Stratomatic's the best game. I'm never playing anything. Oh, APBA, what's that? Oh, wait, what's this History Maker? It's just like, that's how we are. A lot of us are. So
I dare anyone to admit they only own one game of any one system, whether it's Stratomatic or Wargame or anything like that. If you're into any kind of gaming whatsoever, you're gonna branch out. I don't know of anybody that, even my Stratomatic friends out there, that own just Stratomatic and nothing else.
Yeah.
So
I envy those people. And I just heard, well, so back to my point. So that's kind of what I've really resolved myself. Just focus on World War II and the stories and the stuff you can do there. Okay, period. Point on that. Next chapter. The oh my gosh. So totally forgot where I was going to go after my side note. Anyway.
Well, if you think about it, in the meantime, interesting enough. So I talk about, what got me into World War II is because, it was relevant and they kept bringing it up and everything. But what also is relevant and happening is modern day, right? But for some reason, I just don't care at all about any game that has to do with like modern day combat or futuristic combat or anything like that. Just doesn't float my boat at all. What's your
so well, so obviously I was interested in Cav, right? Which is hyper science fiction, modern to the extreme. Yeah, I'm not, and so that has some interest to me. Like I bought Grunts, a miniature rule set again, mainly because the creator Rob Fenton was on YouTube and doing stuff, and he seems like a cool bloke. He's from England, but I've not delved into it again because I'm like diving into it. I'm like, okay, that's just another whole thing to get into. So I kind of like the idea of doing it, science fiction. But modern, like today, for let's say Gulf War to 10 years from now, not much interest there. I don't know. I don't know if it's just too real. I just don't have an interest now.
Yeah, you're like me. People, introducing this great game. It looks wonderful, and everything, the videos that talk about it and everything look awesome. But it's just like doesn't have any interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
I could care less. Maybe it's I was thinking about the fact that you're in World War II. You get this power creep through civilization, right? Where you're using guns, you're using bows and arrows, and eventually guns and cannons, and then eventually tanks. It seems like anything past that just makes it so easy to kill your enemies. It's like when a tank in World War II shoots another tank, just because you hit it doesn't mean it's going to blow up. There's always a chance it's going to ricochet off. You got to beat the armor penetration or whatever. It seems like in like modern day times, it seems like because the caliber of the bullets and the rockets and everything are just so much more powerful than they were in World War II. It just seems like it's you don't stand any chance.
Well, the World War II does have that a little bit of that kind of on the cusp. Probably more World War I than World War II, but kind of the cusp of changes in technology. But World War II, you got it. The radios weren't quite great. The tanks and stuff it's pretty raw stuff. And it's amazing when you see a Sherman tank or a U-boat or something like that, and you're like, dang, that worked.
Right.
I mean, just the engineering and stuff is amazing.
And it's that 6-year period where you go from 39 to 45.
Yeah.
You got that 6-year period. You go from early war where the technology sucked and nobody had anything good to 1945, where all of a sudden you are blowing stuff up in one. So you have also that, early period, and then you have the mid period where everything's kind of balanced. And then you have the late period of World War II where it seems like things are starting to take off. You got U-2 rockets and massive guns and better weaponry and all that. So
more automatic weapons.
So that also adds to, you got the different theaters going on. You got the early U-boat period, you got the late U-boat period where, you got 90% chance of failure in late U-boat and 90% chance of success in the early days. So that's quite a difference as well. So that what I seen. I think that's why maybe it helps me relate to World War II more, because if you do the modern day, it's like you get shot, you're dead. It doesn't matter. The rockets and the missiles and the bullets are that much more powerful, it seems like to me. But
that's probably some of it for me, I guess. Like, I don't really enjoy. I know a lot of people love tank games, right? Especially late war with the Tigers and the Panthers and the jumbo Shermans and all that. And I'm just like, that just doesn't interest me. as much. I mean, I'll play it, and if I have them, but some people just like that. That's why the game Tanks and World of Tanks, that's why those are popular, because you just want to get out there and just blow crap up. But yeah, I'm kind of like, no, I don't know. I kind of like it. I'm excited in the next couple of years. I want to try to do some more like, France 1940 gaming, because, with those little tin can tanks and that kind of stuff, I think is kind of fun. Just makes it a little different strategies and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I know a lot of people out there are into the tanks and stuff, but when I look at infantry combat system, I enjoy the infantry part of it more than I enjoy the tank part of it. And the usually the scenarios that really kind of meld for me are the ones that have lots and lots of infantry and maybe only one or two tanks.
Yeah.
And then you have that issue where you try to figure out how to use your infantry to get rid of those problem tanks, as opposed to a scenario that has 5 tanks on this side, 5 tanks on this side, and a couple infantry thrown in.
Right.
So that's just my, how. Speaking of which, so we have tactical games, we have strategic level games, we have operational level games. Right?
Yes.
So where do you fall into the hierarchy of your favorite versus non-favorite?
So just like I just watched a video yesterday, AJ Toynbee, Jason from New Orleans. I'm tactical, 100% tactical. Not 100%. That's not true, but I am tactical. That's if Desert Island thing right now. It's going to be lock and load tactical. Like, for example, it would have been ASL, right, if I had kind of bought into that system more mentally. But it's lock and load tactical. Because I can feel more what's happening. I can relate to, this is a sergeant, that's a lieutenant. I can picture a platoon, or even maybe a company or battalion even of guys on there. But it gets a little bit more removed for me when you say I'm moving a battalion or I'm moving a corps. Again, I get the appeal of those, and I've got a few of them because it also helps you see the big picture, like help me understand Market Garden or D-Day. Because when you stay zoomed in at tactical level too much, it's almost like you lose a little bit of focus about what's really happening. But I'm tactical.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. I would say 90 to 95% tactical with platoon level. I could do platoon level as well, but not. I like the squad counters.
Yep.
I like feeling these are 6 to 12 guys, and I feel like those kind of games give you more of a strategy, because if you lose those 6 to 8 guys, it's going to matter. When you got a stack of counters this high on your map board, and you lose one of those counters, it doesn't feel like, okay, it's gone. Who cares? I got 12 more. What are you going to do now? You know? So tactical for me brings in more strategy. It seems like there's more, everything seems to matter more. Like I said, you can't afford to lose units. You can't afford to, have units be broken and retreating and all that stuff. So,
well, it's certainly, at least how I see it, certainly a lot more potential for variability of scenarios because you're zoomed down so low. So you could do D-Day. How many scenarios could you make on the first 3 days of D-Day alone, right? You can do, especially if you're working with just a company of guys or even up to a battalion. The D-Day was humongous. So you could go each thing if you wanted little battles here and there. And like people do, follow just the 29th Division from beach landing to you could game on them alone, all the stuff that they went through. So that's kind of cool. But let me ask you a question about, so we like tactical, but do you like skirmish? And what by that I mean, so maybe you have a total of 10 men on the board and you're commanding each guy, maybe like an ambush. Do you like that? Not ambush necessarily, but.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. That is almost too zoomed for me. There's a caveat to that.
Okay.
I've been playing Warfighter World War II, thanks to our good friend down there, Rough Swordsman Wargamer, who did some awesome videos on it and kind of introduced me to the game, the system, how to play it. Did a wonderful job. If you're not a subscriber, He's actually in the chat right there. And I'm hoping someday to get him on and get the chance to talk with him just like I am with you.
Yeah.
And find out all about his channel and talk to him about his likes and dislikes. But anyways, it's a card game. It's a card. What's the way to put it? Where each guy, each gun and stuff is represented by a card, and then it's a solitaire game. You flip up cards for the enemies, kind of like an abstract ambush, but it's with cards on like a little tactical map. So
is that Dan Versen Games?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. That's one I considered for a second and said nope, not going to do it. But
yeah. So with individual soldiers, individual guns, individual grenades and stuff, for me that seems a little bit too zoomed in. Like I said, although I really enjoying the Warfighter.
Yeah, cool.
That's more of a abstract one.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about it?
I've never played it, so I don't know that specific.
No, I mean
skirmish gaming.
Yeah,
I'm not into it now. So in the miniature realm, skirmish gaming has just blown up because it allows you to get into miniature. I like it because it allows you to get into miniature gaming and just paint 10 to 20 guys or gals.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it way easier as opposed to doing like an Ancients game or Napoleonic or even World War II. You got to paint a battalion of guys. Oh my gosh, that's going to take you forever if you've never done it. So
I've never done it.
Yeah. Well, right. But you can imagine if you had to just build all those out and paint them, it's going to take you a long time. But if you paint 10 guys, 20 guys, you can envision that like, okay, I can do that. So it's really cool. And then that kind of gets you introduced into, and they have skirmish from Ancients to science fiction, World War II even. But I don't get into that. And it's similar to the reason I struggled with like BattleTech. And I'm kind of glad I kind of backed out of CAV, I think. Just because to me, BattleTech's a skirmish game, essentially, right? Because you're just like 2 or 3 robots instead of men. Right. That's just not my thing. I have tried to get into it, and I just kind of cannot engage with it. So, but again, I can see why people do, because then you can really identify. It's almost like role playing, right? Like that's Bob, that's Joe, that's Mary, and you can have stats and follow them and kind of see progression, and that's cool. I even struggle doing campaign games with just like following a platoon or a thing. I want to do it. It sounds great, but ultimately in execution, I'm like, I'll just do one-offs.
Right.
So how about you in campaign games? What do you think about those?
I think those are okay. I'm more because I got so many, right? I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I just find it hard to keep something on my table longer than a day or two. Right? So if it's going to be take these guys through a campaign, right? And it's going to be multiple missions, multiple days. It's going to be weeks or, however long it's going to take. I lose focus. I lose interest after a little while.
Right.
I'm hoping to change that. That's my bad habits. I'm trying to, I'm over 50. I should be able to not act like I'm a 16-year-old anymore, but for some reason I can't do that, unfortunately. But yeah, so I find it hard. I find it hard to stay focused and keep up with one thing. I want to set up a scenario, play the scenario, have an outcome, be done with it, put it away, bring out something else.
Okay, well that's interesting. So yeah, do you watch Big Board Gaming with Kev Sharp at all? Do you know who I'm talking about when I say that?
I don't think I do. So
he's really great. He's out of Texas, and he's a great guy. He's an Australian dude, but he plays. He's one of those guys that can play. He's all over the place. He's mainly World War II, but he'll play anything.
Mm.
But he'll set up a game in like those huge, like OCS games, Case Blue or whatever, and he'll play the game all the way through. Maybe not that one. That's a huge one, but and he'll have it up and he'll do a video for each turn, and I don't know how long he has the game up because he doesn't necessarily film it real time, and he'll spread out the releases, but it takes a long time in weeks, right? And there are a lot of guys like him that do that, and I got to tell you, I mean, I'm coming to the conclusion. again, I've mentioned this already. I like the idea of playing that game, right? Seeing that huge table, 8x6, and all the counters and the entire east front, and man, that looks awesome, doesn't it? Oh, that's not going to work for me. I mean, I could keep it set up for a few days, like a week or two, but man, if it's set up for months, I know I'm going to get bored and go like, I'm ready to do something else.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you can go back to my channel and just watch. I've got so many projects I was excited about, and this was going to be the one. And I do like 2, 3, 4 videos, and all of a sudden, you don't see any more videos because I moved on to something else. I'm really bad about that.
Yeah.
I will admit I'm really bad about it. That's my wife. She'll tell you it's my ADHD and my, I don't know, whatever else. But I've got, I like variety. Like I like to play a game one day, go to another game the next day, go to another game another day. You know, is kind of you know, or maybe even 2 or 3 days I could do. But if it's really long, so what I'm trying to actually get into, let me get it out here, and this might help, right?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, another DVG game. Yeah,
another DVG game, right? Wherever it is, right there, DVG. There it is.
Yeah.
So this is more of a, like you were talking about, like a campaign game where you take your guys through a campaign. You keep track of their experience level and stuff like that. And this one is specifically designed for solitaire. So at least I don't have to make. So let's talk about that. That's a great subject. It takes someone very dedicated to play a game that's not designed for solitaire and play both sides. Now you do that all the time. How do you do that?
I have an amazing mind. I do that partially only child. So I played a lot of games by myself. I haven't figured out how to play like catch and football by some unique ways of doing that. But boy, that sounds sad now they said it. But anyway, that's part of it, I think. I have no. I see people ask that question on Board Game Geek. I'm just like, man, that's one thing I have no problem with. I'm like, I have no problem sitting down there and like, I think because I compartmentalize a lot of things, and I need to one get a counselor and one to learn how I.
Don't we all though? Don't we all?
But I compartmentalize pretty easily, so which makes it struggle when I play against somebody. But I can sit down, play the Germans, their turn, and I really just think about, okay, what do I want to achieve with the Germans? Now, where that comes into a struggle a little bit, though, is when you're playing like a lock and load or ASL or something where there's interaction within a turn, or Panzer Grenadier or something, where there's hot fire. You got to kind of then think, okay, what? So do I want to fire that American on this guy? But what do I want to do with that guy later, right?
See, that's where I run into a problem, and I did a Panzer Grenadier video earlier this morning. Is I was playing the Germans moving. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, where would the German like to go? He's going to go to this spot here. Well, then as he's moving, the French have an opportunity fire on him. And I'm thinking, would the French take this opportunity, or would they wait until he gets into a better position to opportunity fire, right? Yeah. Are they going to take a chance, but it's not a great chance, or would they wait? Not knowing, but in my head, I know where the German's headed, right? So I have a problem with what do I do in that situation? So
yeah, sometimes on those things where you're right, it's like, well, one, the cool thing about face-to-face is I don't know if you're going to turn left or right, and I don't know if you're going to continue moving. So I have to make that choice. I might fire, and you'll be like, ah, crap, he wasn't going to move anyway, or whatever. I sometimes will just roll a dice, right? Like I said, there's 50-50, or sometimes I go just do a quick calculation in my head, like it's more likely he'd fire, but let's see if he may not. So that 1 and 2 he won't fire or whatever. I just do that real quick. I was going to ask that question to you: solitaire, face-to-face, or solo? And the difference in between solitaire and solo is that DVG game is solitaire. Solo is what we're talking about, what I'm doing. That's kind of how I differentiate those. And I was going to ask your preference on those. I would say mine is, well, okay, this isn't I do most of, you've seen most of my games are solo online on the video there. I am slowly converting, though, that I think some of the gamer funk I've been in lately that we talked about before we went on air is I think I need to do some face-to-face. And that can be either literal face-to-face, like
Right.
across the table from somebody, or even within that Vassal program or something.
Right.
I think I need a little bit of that community and interaction. And I've played Kev Sharp. I've played the OG a few times. You may have seen a video with, Devin. And it does make it, miniature games. I played some local guys here. It makes it a more, that's what they're really designed for, right? Most of them, except for like the solitaire games like you're looking at. But I think some of the gamer funk would be relieved if I did that, because then I'm sharing that. I'm sharing those moments and memories with people, and also sharing that burden of learning the game, right? It's
right. Or if you have a question about a rule, you have two minds thinking about, well, how do we interpret this rule?
Yeah.
Is it this way or is it this way? And it's not just relying on yourself to interpret, can I move here? How many movement points does it really cost? Because I'm going uphill into a building, or whatever the situation is.
Well, and you get to see different tactics, right? Like the problem playing solo is no matter. Some people also write down, kind of just have a general idea and write down their plans, right? Like, okay, do this, and you kind of have to keep at that, right? And that's one way of doing it too, solo, not to a lot of detail, but no matter how much you try to do that, you're still playing yourself, so it's going to be a very balanced game most of the time.
Right.
So it's fun seeing like I play you in a game, and you'd go left, and I'd be like, "Whoa, I didn't even think about that."
Right, exactly, right.
So it's kind of cool like that.
So to answer your question, well, before I answer your question, I'll kind of give you a little bit of background. Before I moved to Florida, which is where I currently live, moved down here 4 years ago. I was spent 20 some years in Columbus, Ohio. If you're not familiar with Columbus, Ohio, we have Origins.
Lots of gamers there.
And there is the board group that actually runs Origins. It's called CABS, Columbus Area Board Gaming Society. I was a CAB member for 15 years. So we would have gaming groups with up to 125 people. Every week we would get together with, there would be 20 war gamers, and the rest would be Euro gamers and card players and stuff like that. But I'd always have somebody to play if I was to bring something in, ASL or Path of Glory or any war game I wanted. I could basically Tide of Iron, doesn't matter. I could find somebody that would sit down and play with me. So number one for me would be face-to-face, and just because of all the things you mentioned, if you can find a face-to-face player, it is so much better than playing solo.
Yeah, I'm beginning to believe that.
You have the interaction, right? You have the interaction, so you're not, you're talking back and forth. Hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. It's more of a social event than a solitary event, right? So you got that interaction with somebody else. Plus, you always have that when somebody does something that you weren't expecting moment, right? Oh, geez, there was a concealment counter there. I thought you had your leader and your squad under there, and it ended up being a blank. And here I was attacking that location thinking that your leader was going to be there. You have these moments that you just can't have if you play solo, because you know what's under that counter. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have that eureka, I can't believe you fooled me moment, because there is no fooling you, because no matter how you do it, you can't block out what you know. You know what's coming. You know these guys are going to try and flank around to the left. When you play the other person's side, you know what they're trying to do, so you either purposely try to prevent that, or you disregard that, but you still know it's coming. So face to face, you have these moments that will inspire you, will make you angry, will be, just shock, amazement. So you don't get any of that whether you're playing solo or solitaire. So face to face, You know, if you got some local gaming groups, you contact them, put something on their board. You know, there's lots of different gaming groups, you know, for each location. You know, if, you know, Bradenton, Florida, I could type that in, gaming group, and there's a couple different places that have gaming groups. So obviously, long answer, I'm sorry. Face-to-face is obviously best. I would have said solo above solitaire, but there in the last 4 or 5 years have all of a sudden been some really, really good solitaire designed games.
Yeah, there's been quite a kind of explosion of them for sure.
Yes. Up until then, nobody even bothered to make anything until like 5 or 6 years ago. People were like, hey, most of our wargamers play by themselves. I mean, Lock and Load has a solo component now. You can buy an actual program that you can, or a module. Yeah, you can buy a module that'll actually let you play solitaire. Conflict of Heroes, the same thing. They have a solo module. A lot of games are now coming with design your own scenarios and solitaire capable, where you don't have to run both sides. And I really think, because I can't separate, I haven't been designed that way. You know, the last 20 years I've been playing games face to face. You, on the other hand, have been mostly playing solitaire or solo by yourself.
Yeah.
So you are kind of trained yourself one way. I've been kind of training myself a different way. So for me to go from face to face to solo, it's been pretty hard to wrap my head around the advantages of playing solo. Now, obviously, the one advantage is you can do it anytime because you only have to worry about your schedule. You don't have to worry about somebody else.
That's I mean, that's really one of the top ones. You know, I can set it up here in my room and play a turn and go do what I got to do and go take care of the kids and life, and then come down and play another turn. That's a huge thing about it. Like, so but I totally get like what you're, you know, like, and I hear guys, you know, see that all the time. Like, how do you play solo? I'm like, I totally get it though, because the games aren't really designed for that, and that's supposed to be a social interaction. But what's interesting to me is I could never get into solitaire games, and I think
really,
yeah, I don't enjoy them. I'm just like, I'll just play. I'd rather play both sides.
You would rather?
I'd rather play both sides than play solitaire.
What you think the enemy would do, as opposed to rolling on a chart and getting the result from like a chart that says this enemy is going to do this, and if it can't do that, then do this.
Yeah. Now I got to tell you, I haven't tried them in a long time. Like, I have not tried the solo system was converted from Conflict of Heroes to Lock and Load. People really like it, and they come up with some fun reports saying, I just read one where a guy said whoever he was, the Russians, let's say, and the Germans, the SS or whatever it was, Germans made this attack, and he's like, why is it attacking the building? Because sometimes AIs will do that, right? And they'll be like, and they make dumb moves. But he goes, what's going on here? But it worked. It came up, it took a loss or something, but then it jumped into melee and took him out. And he goes, I lost my building. He goes, I thought it was a given. And so I thought, well, that's kind of cool. You know, he still has that fun story to tell. Something happened he didn't expect. He thought it was completely stupid, and it worked. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should give it a chance. I think some of it is ID that I've been mentioning a lot, the mental capacity. I'm like, I just want to learn the rules of the game. Now I got to learn another layer of rules to play it. I don't know if I'm interested in that. So, but I should probably give it a try.
I've actually seen, I don't know if it was the Player Aid or what are the other channels I'm subscribed to, where they had talked about, I think it was actually the Player Aid, I think his name is Dan or something, was talking about in one of his videos that he tried using the solo system, or I'm sorry, the solitaire system, and then just switched back to solo because
interesting.
It wasn't doing what he needed to do, and he was like, well, that's not what they would do, and I'm going to change it. So then he just started playing back the way it normally would have been done. So, and you can run into that with the solitaire system where, you know, you're attacking the Germans or whatever, and then you roll for the Germans, and they end up doing something that they shouldn't have done, and then it's like, well, do I follow what they should have done because that's what we rolled and see what happens, or do we not do that and use common sense, and then you run into a thing where, well, then you're not really playing a solitaire because you're not letting the system do its thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I think even the lock and load system, I think, talks about that. I have not read it. This is just reading people's reports and reviews. I think it even almost like says that in the rules, like sometimes you do need to override it sometimes, because sometimes it might make a decision that's just totally like, I wouldn't do that. But which is cool. I mean, I think we need to allow that flexibility in there. Just if you're the one playing it, right? So enjoy it how you enjoy it. But it's also cool that, like, this guy said it made what he thought was a totally ridiculous decision.
Right.
But sometimes you have to, I don't know. It's cool. Like,
but that said, though, I do play when I play my sports games, in which I've done quite a bit of.
Oh, that's a good
sports
question.
games, whether it's Stratomatic, APBA, Payoff Pitch, and all that. I play that solo and play on both sides. Okay. Where you have to operate both.
Wow.
Manage both teams, and that seems to work okay.
Well, I've got a question about that.
But you're talking, it's kind of apples and oranges, because you're talking about wargaming and sports gaming. Not exactly the same thing, but
yeah. Okay, so it seems to me now. Okay, so let's get into sports games real quick. So I've played Stratomatic before. I've played. That's the only baseball one I've played. I've not played any of the others. So I've played, and then not History Maker. What's their Soccer Blast? I played Soccer Blast. And then the football ones, I don't think I've played a football one recently. So the football ones would have been those sister. I haven't jumped into a football one because it's just too many. I don't know. So it seems to me it's like Soccer Blast and even Stratomatic. I played my dad a few times, so he's the only person I've played face to face on Strat. And then on Soccer Blast, I've not played anybody face to face on that one. But I'm almost like, I especially Soccer Blast, I'm like, I don't really think there's much. I'm not sure it'd be that fun as an opponent. I think it's more of a fun experience, even just solitaire or solo playing that. And Strat, baseball, it's almost like baseball's like, well, I mean, how many choices? I mean, there are choices to be made, certainly rotation and thing, but I'm almost like, I don't know.
You're basically, we'll talk about baseball, okay, or soccer.
Yeah, any baseball game or something.
You're talking about literally there's only like 4 or 5 decisions you make during the whole game. Like the first 5 innings, right? It's pretty much all your starters are going to stay in, everything's going to go, and then maybe in the 6th or 7th inning you bring in a reliever, which might cause you to bring in a pinch hitter. So there's a few changes. In wargaming, it seems like it's more where you have decisions to make on every single turn, starting from the beginning to the end. So I think that's why I was saying it's almost like comparing apples to oranges, because it's not the same enemy, or it's not the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a different experience.
Is much more. I think it involves much more, and this is probably part of sports gaming's biggest issue, is with sports gaming, you as the manager, whether you're managing just your team or both teams, you make very few decisions, and the actual cards decide the game as opposed to what you do 90 to 95% of the time. That's my feeling. In sports gaming, you can basically just let it play itself, where wargaming, you can't do that. Wargaming, you have much more input on what's going to happen.
Well, it's because you're dealing with the tactics of it and all that stuff. So like, the decisions are, so for example, like there's a soccer game I own. Oh my gosh, I'm totally forgetting the name of it, but it's, you got the little guys, it's not Subetto, which I think looks awesome, but, you've got you got the players, you've got a ball, and you roll dice and it tells you how far you get to move and pass and all that stuff. Well, that's very much more like a chess or checkers game, right? Because it's gridded. Well, that one isn't as fun solo, because it's like a war game. It's like, I kind of already know what I'm going to do. And so that one I have enjoyed playing. You can see videos on there. I've played my son a few times. I've played a couple solo games. It's more just to kind of experience it. But yeah, that one's not fun. So as fun solo because, well, first of all, there's no differentiation between the teams, right? It's all the players are the same. There's no stats or anything. But whereas with Soccer Blast, well, you've got, Harry Kane for Tottenham and Ronaldo with whoever, and they've got different stats, and it's the same exact way. In fact, in soccer, I don't even know. Like, I've asked my son who's played it. I'm like, how much game calling is really going on there with the coach anyway? Really, they have their set plays and stuff, and there's some switch outs and stuff, but
I mean, that's kind of it, right? I mean, you get like 2 substitutions per half or total or something, right? So you got 2 substitutions, and then you can move guys from like your front line to your back line. I mean, that's pretty much, kind of it, right? And then you just let the players play it out.
Right. So that one's more like when I was playing my dad, I kind of felt bad. Like, I don't know, is this really even fun for him? Because, and we played baseball. We didn't play the soccer one. And I have a friend at work who super into soccer, way more than I am, the Premier League. And I've got all the cards. I'm like, I want to show him the game, but more just to show him what it's like. But I'm just to be like, what? There's not much here. It would almost be more fun to play. I mean, it's fine. I enjoy Soccer Blast a lot because it's fun. It tells a story, right? And it's you get all these plays, but the decision points aren't as much there. Or back to Wargaming, the decision points are constant, which is why people like them because it's a constant.
It's kind of and again. There's nothing against sports gaming. I sports game. I enjoy sports gaming. We're not talking down because of sports gaming. It's just a different animal than wargaming. Okay, so I don't want to get anybody all upset about it. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. But I wanted to get into golf sports gaming.
Right.
The problem with that is you have no say over what happens, right? I mean, what do? You roll the dice to find out where the ball goes when you hit it. That's it. It's not like, do I...
You choose your club, don't you?
Well, you choose your club, but your clubs all go a certain distance, right? It goes, your 4-iron, you hit it 200 yards. You might hit it 190. You might hit it 100 or 210, but it's going to be around 200 yards. So it's not like I go, you know what? To hit this 200-yard shot, I'm going to use my, pitching wedge. I mean, that doesn't, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of strategy. It's all based upon your golfer stats and how good you roll, basically.
Yeah, I think so. What I think is cool about the sports games and why I bought Soccer Blast and had rebought Strat and I'll probably end up buying another sports game here. Like I think they're trying to get a kind of a faster version for the football game that Play Games makes. I think he's got a speed play one I might get into, but I think more of that is kind of more like when I was 14 and I made a season. I made teams. I made a season. It's tough because my family, we love March Madness. We love that bracket, the winning. So I love making brackets, and I think seasons are cool. And I think that's the big thing about sports games. And because if you think like most of the sports gamer people, they're soloing it. Al and you and I can't even Retro Sports and Ron, right? Ron's the big guy. So it's like, and all those guys, especially, Al and Ron, especially get way into it. And you can tell because it is fun. Like when I'm playing Soccer Blast, I'm just like, oh, I can't believe that happened. It's more the narrative and the story.
It exactly is that. It's the fact that they get to relive these players and what they're doing. When so-and-so hits a big home run in the bottom of the 9th inning to win it, that's the fun and the excitement of sports gaming.
Or you get a no-hitter. Like I think Ron had a no-hitter recently or something. Just videos.
I saw someone had and Clinton Parks got a triple play the other day that he posted on her.
How fun is that, right? Just seeing that happen.
Yeah, I mean that's the fun of sports gaming there, right?
Yeah. So I got into
the fact that you get to remember these players, you get to relive them. You can experience what they experienced. You can put them in the moments that they had in real life and relate to them. So I think that's kind of the fun thing.
And that's kind of why I kind of bought into a couple of those games, because like we were talking about earlier, I can get a game played in 45 to 90 minutes and it's contained and it happens and it's fun, right? And even, it's just fun. Whereas a war game typically will take longer than that, typically. Right. You know, so, and even if, I think that's a big reason I like doing it. You can do it, contain it, and you can also relate.
I talked about this earlier. Wargaming, you put it out, it's out. You know, it could be out for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sports gaming, right? You play your game, 45 minutes, you're done, you pack it up and go on to the next game. So that is a definite draw as well, is the fact that if you want to play something quick and easy and simple and not have it set up for months and years and, you know, on end, which I've seen at cabs. We used to have one corner of the room was set up for the OCS, the OCS games. And they would literally, like I said, we play every week, 8 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they would have it set up in that corner for months at a time. And I'm like, there's no way I could do that. No way.
Yeah, so I've come to that conclusion in the last few months within 2019. 2019 was a year of revelations for me, and peace in mind. Is like there's a bunch of games that I like the thought of playing. Like ASL, I love the thought of playing that. The depth, and you get the red barricades, and you got that, like, again, 8x6 table, and it's all these Russians and Germans going at it head to head for months on end, way longer than the real battle even took place.
Right.
But
exactly.
But I just can't. And there's been a couple of games I bought. So I've been trying to increase my face-to-face playing. And so there's a local, not local, actually, there's a local guy who runs a small 25-person convention, or they come in from around the country into St. Louis, kind of a private event there. And it's awesome. And I see these guys playing these. It's a convention, and it's not really a convention. It's a gathering where it's all about big games, right? And it's not as big as like Consim World or something, which I think would be. I'd love to go there sometime and play a game for a week.
Pictures of everything, right?
Yeah. And I could get into, knowing I'm going to go for 1 week and play OCS or Grand Tactical or something. Right. Especially when you got other people working with you on it.
Right.
And so I watch these guys playing Grand Tactical or GOS or some of these rules. And man, so what do? I like it. I like those guys. They're cool. They're having fun. It's fun watching. I didn't play them because I just wasn't involved at that point. Man, I go out, I come home, and I buy a couple. What a goofball. So you get it home, and you're like,
what the hell am I going to do with this?
Because, you know, especially solo, it's like, oh, my gosh, man. So, and then I end up selling them immediately, right? So, which is, I've also come to peace of mind. That's cool, man. If that's how I enjoy my hobby, and whatever, you know, I buy them. I don't make money doing that, right? And probably lose money, frankly. But
you never know. You might be able to.
It depends on the game. Like ASL, I was able to turn around for more money, but that's rare. Even GOS and stuff. You pay $400. Well, I'm probably going to end up selling it because I've opened it now at this point. So 90, 80, even 70. It's like, but whatever. It's in the big scheme of things in my hobby. Whatever. I try, but I'm trying not to do that as much because that's a waste of money at some point. Yeah. But I've just kind of come to a little peace of mind, like. I have to be able to watch those guys play, know that's cool, and just go like, you know what? I think it'd be fun to get it, but I'm just not going to do it because I'm not going to play it.
Right.
But that's the cool thing about Vassal. So those big games, you can do that. And
all right. So let's talk about the two biggest resources for solo gamers out there. One of them is Vassal, which you talked about.
Yep.
There is a ton of modules that you can download for free.
Amazing. It's an amazing resource.
There's a caveat. Not all games have Vassal modules, and not all games will include everything you need in the Vassal modules. Some of them will require you to purchase the game so you have the charts,
which is right,
or whatever, you know, so that you can't just go, oh, I'm going to play the game for free. But it is a great resource. Yep. In fact, DVG actually. You can't find any of their games on Vassal because they sell their Vassal module. I don't know.
Oh, they do? I didn't know they sold them.
They sell their Vassal modules. And I've actually been looking at a few because I'm like, okay, I really would like Field Commander Nimitz, which is their Pacific solitaire game, but I don't want to set that up, and it's out of print right now. And they actually have a Kickstarter going on where they're going to reprint it, and the expansion for it, as well as there's 3 of them they're reprinting: Thunderbolt Apache,
That's a cool one.
Field Commander Nimitz, and who is the third? Oh, Tiger Leader, right. That's why I ended up getting Tiger Leader, because I got it for a pretty good price, and I know it's out of print. So they're reprinting those 3 with the 3 expansions. So if you want to check out Kickstarter for those, just giving everyone's a heads up. But yes, DVG sells their Vassal modules. They run between $25-$30
that's not
depending
bad
on their game. I was actually thinking about getting the Field Commander Nimitz one, since it's not going to be reprinted for a while, and it's hard to get a copy of the actual physical game, and for the fact that, as I said, for me, my gaming table is my desk. This is my gaming table right here, right?
Oh, holy cow. Yeah, you got
I
limited space.
I don't have another table or desk anywhere. I can push this monitor back, and I've got plenty. I mean, this desk is 6 by 4 feet, so I've got plenty of area. I can set it down on the table, right? But to keep it set up here, then I got to worry about putting my keyboard and everything out. I just can't keep something out. So I thought, well, a great option for that is, oh my gosh, look at this.
I have been very fortunate to get this room, so I do have an 8x6 table, and this is just 6x4 here. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, so I've been blessed with some space here, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, but before we moved to Florida, I had actually built a table down in my basement, and the basement was mine. And I had a table that was 8 by 6 feet that I built, wargaming table, and it would hold just about anything I needed down there in the basement. So it was so big it wouldn't fit out of the basement when we moved, so we had to leave it for the new people. So unfortunately.
That's hilarious. Yeah, you couldn't. I'd have to disassemble this table. Real quick, I'd like to talk about Vassal, and I have like 3 other things I want to ask you about real quick, but I'd like to take a break for a moment if I could.
Sure, go ahead. Take a break.
Water calls.
Take a break.
All right.
And Dave, while you're gone, get that package you were going to get.
The naval game. Yep, I'll do that.
All right.
Cool.
So we're just going to talk without Todd here for a second. So if anybody has any questions for us, again, Rough Swordsman Wargamer, thanks for coming on by. 667 Para Flunk, thanks for coming by. Al Red Sox fan, Trollo for Beck. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing your name too badly. Mate Lot 2001, thanks for coming on by. Appreciate it, guys. Let's see if I missed anyone here. If you are in the chat, thank you all for coming on by. So we were talking with ITINERANTHOBBYIST. Make sure you go check out his channel. He does a lot of really good things, and I knew I was going to like him just by watching his videos, hearing him talk. But now that I find he's a tactical World War II guy just like me, then just know that there's 2 of me out there. So that's good. Yay. All right. So we're going to keep talking. We're going to talk about Vassal. I'm going to talk about another thing if you're a war gamer out there. If you're not familiar with it, you should probably check it out. Tabletop Simulator. Don't tell Todd that. We'll see if he knows when he gets back. Actually, hang on. I'm going to show you guys something. I got another big box of stuff. I got another big box of stuff to do an unboxing with. So interesting story with this box. You see this box here? So I've been waiting on it. So I finally got on the website that I ordered it from, and I'm like, where is it? It's been like a week and a half. They said it was only going to take a few days. So I checked the UPS tracking, and it says it was delivered on Thursday at 1:45. And I'm like, no, it wasn't delivered on Thursday at 1:45 because I didn't get a package. So I emailed them and I said, you didn't deliver my package. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, it's not here. So I live on 52nd Avenue East. The street right behind me out this door is 52nd Avenue Drive. So I went over there today to go see if they had my package on their front door. And sure enough, I walked up to their house and they had a package sitting on their porch that was supposed to be for me. So I picked up the package. And of course, I went to the neighbor's house and I showed her that, I had my driver's license. I showed her my driver's license, said, I just picked up this package. This package was supposed to be delivered to me and it wasn't delivered to me. And I just want to verify that I have someone, I show someone, because I didn't want somebody thinking I was stealing their package. So, hey, Tony, how you doing? Thanks for coming on by. I appreciate it. So that's the story with this package. So everything that's in this package almost didn't come to me unless I went over to the neighbor's house and stole it off their front porch. And I'm going to be calling UPS tomorrow morning and giving them hell because they told me they delivered it to my address when they didn't deliver it to my address. So, looks like Itinerant Hobbyist is coming on back here. So we were just showing them, I was just showing them something, Todd, here.
Oh, okay.
I got another big box of do an unboxing. And I bet you there's things in there you might even like. Should I open it now?
Do it. Let's go.
Should we do it now?
Yeah, we'll do a little unboxing of our new things we got, and I'll show you mine.
All right.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Oh, whoops.
Whoa.
I guess we gotta wait till nighttime on IDJESTER. All right. So while you're cutting, I'll talk about. Well, maybe you want to see it. I'll wait till go ahead and open it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, so again, I mentioned Naval Gaming is not my primary. So I also do miniature gaming. I've mentioned a few times, and so I know probably most ID's fans probably don't do that. It's funny how you got all these different groups. You got the sports people, you got the war gamers, you got the miniature ones, and there's a few of us that cross over boundaries, and I'm one of those. So, and then ID does, of course, with the sports and the board gaming, So naval gaming is not my top thing, but I did find a miniature rule set that I liked, and it's called Naval Thunder. And I typically go for the more simpler rule sets, and it's a simpler naval rule set. There's General Quarters is a big one, and I'm suddenly forgetting the other game. General Quarters isn't bad. There's also Victory at Sea, but I think General Quarters is probably the more complex, and Victory at Sea and then Naval Thunder I think are about the same. Anyway, so I found this one. I found some little minis at one point, and I eventually gave them to, I think I gave them to Matt, actually, of Rocky's War Room. Because I was like, I'm just not going to play it enough, and I want someone else to be able to play these. In that group, we were always exchanging stuff back and forth, and he's giving me some rule books. I gave him some minis, whatever. But I did find there's this guy, and there's another channel. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Counterproductive Games. He does a lot of videos.
Counterproductive Games. I think I am a subscriber to that channel.
I'm sure. So he does board and mini, so he's one that crosses over.
Right.
Anyway, he's done a video on these, but these are called Topside Minis. So I found these. They're not minis at all. They're printed things here. Let's see if we can get the light to work out right. So it's printed on a sticky. This is a sticker.
Okay.
And I'll peel it off there.
So you just peel it off, and then you can stick it on.
And then he
cardboard or whatever you want to stick it on.
He ships it with these little plywood wood bases.
Nice.
Sorry, the light. It's just a treasure for sharing this stuff. So you'll just stick it on there.
Solid wood there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a plywood. So this is kind of the same stuff I put my minis on too. Anyway, so there, and then it'll be that. and then you can put them on. Wow, the light.
And then you just trim out once you just have it stuck on there.
Yeah, and it'll come out, and it shouldn't even need to be trimmed. It should be the exact size.
Oh, okay. So it just overlays on top.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it should. And if you have any overlap, you just flip it over and trim it with an X-Acto. But the cool thing is, these are your minis. So then you can just store them. I mean, here's
store a million of them in one little box.
Yeah, here's 3 different battles represented here, right there. But I haven't stickered them yet. But I did that because, you know what? I enjoy Naval Thunder.
What's the name of the system?
Naval Thunder. Steel Dreadnought games. You can get them on Wargame Vault. It's tactical, battleship. They kind of abstract out aircraft because they're like, well, in World War II, especially, aircraft became the king of sea battle, right? Well, they kind of abstract that out a little bit so that you can have the fun of battling battleships and doing all that stuff and Midway and whatever. But these are, I like Atlantic, Mediterranean, British, Italian, Graf Spee, that sort of thing. I bought all this for $17.
Whoa, that's pretty good.
So I've got.
And so, what size area are we talking about?
That's the only challenge with these. These are bigger. So like I had like 1/3000. So this ship here in my minis was probably like that big.
Right.
Which in naval miniatures, you kind of want smaller minis.
Right.
The range, right?
You got the range, and you got the difference in where they're at. Yeah.
And you don't need a gymnasium floor. So
right, exactly.
This size, I think this is 1/1200 scale, which is pretty big for this size of ship. And it'll be okay on this 8x6. I'm going to be fine with it, right? I'm not going to worry about it too much. And the battles I got were smaller. But if you're going to do Midway or, I don't know, some other big major battle, you might want a bigger table.
Latte golf?
What's that?
Latte golf?
Yeah, you need a ton of them, right? So,
yeah.
But what's cool is you can buy.
I've been watching over and over and over again Coral Sea, Midway, and the whole Pacific Theater, which didn't really inspire me that much, but now all of a sudden I'm like obsessed with it. I watch these videos over and over and over again. Funny enough, I haven't watched the Midway movie yet. Have you seen Midway?
I went with my stepdad last week when we were there for the.
We might go tonight if I can talk to the wife and we figure out what time. I think it starts at 7:00 tonight, so
that's a show.
I might be going tonight.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. I don't know enough about the history, and it was enough. It was enough war movie and personal story for me. Like I never watched that Pearl Harbor movie that came out in the 2000s with Ben Affleck and all that stuff.
Yeah,
because I just heard that. I don't, whatever. But it was a good movie. I mean, they cover. They don't focus on Midway. It's all the battle. It's all the stuff that leads up to Midway and then Midway. So it's like the first hour's all the stuff before, and then the
Alexa,
Midway.
Shut up. Alexa's telling me what good movies are out.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, so it was fun. You'll like it. I mean, it's enjoyable. Some people.
I think we're gonna go tonight. So
the rule set is Naval Thunder, and that's on Wargame Vault. And if people don't know Wargame Vault, it's where you can buy miniature rule sets for the most part and role playing game stuff. And like I was talking to somebody last night, they make it too easy to buy stuff. So
a lot of things are pretty good price.
Yeah, and it's mostly PDFs.
Yeah, it's print and play or print and put together yourself
for the most part. Yeah. So there's that. Now this is Topside Minis. This is where I bought these minis. My lighting's so terrible you can't see it. So Topside Minis, and I think it is the website is topsideminis.com. And what you can do is you can go on there.
SIDE minis.
Yeah, like top side of a ship.
Okay.
Topside Minis, MINIS, and he has these sets. So I just wanted to try them to see what they were like. So I bought the Cape Spada battle set, and it comes with the 7 ships that fought in that battle, and the Sydney. And what's cool is the ship. You can't really see it, but the ship is the ship, and it's got a flag, and it tells you the name. So it says Sydney D48. So you're really playing with the ship that was used in the battle, which is cool. And it was an Australian ship against Austria, No, Australian, 2 Italian, and 4 UK ships. So he's got these sets, River Plate. Well, these are small, 5, 7 ships. You can buy Midway, Leyte Golf, but you're going to spend $100 or something. But that's cool.
Mm,
But the cool thing about it, I'm telling you, ID, to buy those many minis and paint them, it's going to be way more than $100.
yeah.
And an 8x6 table wouldn't cover it, but you still now you have all the ships you need. Anyway, and he sells rules on the Topside mini site. I don't know what rules he sells, but I'm sure they're fine, but I don't know anything about them. But that's kind of me just saying, well, here's me trying a little bit mini.
Outside the box, really?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's my unboxing, and I look forward. Yes, you'll see videos on my channel. So
you'll introduce them to us.
Yep.
Do a proper unveiling of how awesome they really look. All right, so you want to see my goodies?
Let's see your goodies.
Okay. So the number one thing. Oh, look, I got a personal note. Thank you, Kirk. Isn't that nice? Elaine sent me a personal note.
Oh, thanks, Elaine.
Oh, that's nice. So we talked about our favorite era, and it being World War II, right?
Yeah,
and I mentioned that besides World War II, there's probably only one other thing I can do, and that's World War I.
Yep, you mentioned that.
With that as a hint,
here we go.
And I say GMT. What game am I talking about? World War I, GMT.
Oh, Cold War, Great War Commander?
No.
No, they're not. That's not GMT.
Although that does interest me.
That almost interested me too, actually. That one I was tempted by. Oh, Paths of Glory. Duh.
Paths of Glory.
Oh man.
Which is this is the reprint edition.
Yeah, that game's been I've played that one time.
This is kind of like my cult classic game. This is the game that I want to learn how to do strategic level gaming.
Yeah, a lot of people love that game.
All right. So that's package number 1, Paths of Glory Deluxe Edition.
Ooh, is that?
So I think this comes with the mounted map board and all the fancy bells and whistles. The deluxe map version.
Can you just kind of show the people the map on the back so they can kind of see? So this isn't hex or area; it's point to point, is what that's called. So he'll put his figures in those little white dots. The map, I think, in this picture doesn't look great, but it looks really good when it's the map.
Yeah, it's a glare that I keep getting here,
but it's cool though. Yeah, that's I have
go.
a hard time with games like this, but that's just my little brain. So yeah, that's a very famous one. That's cool. Now, did they had a big sale, right? Yeah.
Yes, they did, but I didn't get it because they don't have any of the deluxe versions on GMT site.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right.
Next.
So
wait, ID, do you have someone to play that against? Like you have Bob's going to play or somebody?
No.
Are you going to do it solo?
My buddy, which lives in Atlanta, we went to visit him a couple weeks ago when I went up there. We've been talking about getting together for like a long weekend. So this is something I bought. So when I go up there, I can take it with me. We're ready to go, type thing.
Yeah.
But playing it by myself. Speaking of solitaire games as opposed to solo games, there's actually a solitaire system somebody designed for this card-driven game. And there's a video on Stuka Joe's website.
Oh, Stuka did
Stuka Joe on how to play card-driven games. So this is a card-driven game. How to play card-driven games with a solitaire system, and because it's like, well, I got all these cards. Which one am I going to play for the defender? And so you have this little board you put out in front of you, and then you roll a dice, and based on the dice, it tells you which of these cards to reference. But it might not be the card you actually pull or not. So it's pretty interesting. But if you're into, I know you're not into solitaire, but if you wanted to play this solitaire, you could. Okay, so.
Well, so that's the thing. I mean, that was the struggle with Combat Commander with me, is that it's it's a card-driven game, not card-assisted. It's driven by the cards, and that's really hard to play solo. People have done.
Yeah, I don't think Rough Swordman saw it because he was asking. Yeah, it's Paths of Glory.
Oh, look, you can see me in there. Hi.
Hey, you can see you.
Yeah. So Paths of Glory is card driven, not card assisted, right?
Correct. It is a card driven game. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be tougher to do solo for sure.
All right. So another. Now this is right up our alley here.
Here we go. I'm excited.
This is going to be a GMT, another GMT.
So you did not buy these direct from GMT, though. You bought this
I
from
did not.
retail.
I bought them from a place that was having a like a Veterans Day sale or something like that.
Who was it?
It's a GMT game. It is a tactical World War II.
Last 100 yards.
Huh?
Last 100 yards. Shivwax.
Ding, 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 ding. The last 100 yards. Game designed by Mike Denson. So looking forward to checking out this. We'll check out the back here. The last 100 yards.
The maps look awesome.
Let's see if I can zoom in on what the counters and stuff look like. There you go. So you got vehicles. And it's obviously, it's like after Normandy invasion. So it's West Front there. And the maps. Yep.
Airborne's coming out.
Yards. All right.
Airborne's the next module out, right?
Yes, I believe it is already out, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it is out.
Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. All right, last one.
Okay, another GMT?
No, it's actually by Compass Games, World War II tactical game.
Compass. Oh, Combat?
No.
Is that what do they have one called Combat? I thought they did. Maybe not. Let me think. Tactical. I don't know. You got me. I'm stumped. I'll know it as soon as you show it. Oh yeah, Paths to Hell. Oh, sorry.
Paths to Hell, Operation Barbarossa, June to December 1941.
Platoon level, right? I mean, each thing's a platoon, right? No.
I think it's individual guys. Solitaire rating is in the middle. Complexity is in the middle. It is a let's see if it's gives us a update on what it is.
So everyone knows.
Part of the Warstorm series.
Yeah, Warstorm. There's like 3 games.
Yeah. Yes.
Spanish Civil War.
There's another game in this series called Normandy: The Beginning of the End. Hint, hint.
Spoiler alert. Yep.
Tactical battles of each scenario. The scale is company level with units representing groups of between 30 to 40 soldiers. Weapons represent 3 to 4 weapons, and crews 20 to 25 soldiers. So yeah, more of a platoon type level game there. That is Paths to Hell by Compass Games.
That's East Front.
East Front. Yeah, so they have the Normandy, the beginning of the end, which is going to be obviously the West Front. And they also have
Las Barricadas or something.
Yes, Las Barricadas, which is the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, I think the guys
1936, right?
The guys that make it are Spanish, I believe.
And that's it. The box is empty now, so
that's kind of sad, isn't it?
I know.
But those are 3 cool games. Are we going to see unboxings of all those?
Do you want to see an unboxing of them?
I see. That's the problem with those. All 3 of those have been Paths to Hell is not quite as well covered.
Yes, Paths to Hell is. In fact, the whole Warstorm series. I can only find about 3 or 4 videos on YouTube that even covers it. So I'm thinking, it's like you were just thinking, if I get this game and start doing some videos on it, maybe people might come visit and say hi.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing about unboxings. I'd be interested in your view on it. But sometimes people complain like, "Oh my gosh, another guy ripping open plastic and showing them." But the only thing I think about that is a little bit. I think, especially when it's a super popular game that you see a million of, like Paths to Glory has been done, and even Last 100 Yards has been done a lot. But it's like, but ID, you've got different people watching you that are mainly sports people, and so to me, I'm like, like I may not watch it because I've seen 3 of them already, but you have, I don't know, Al might watch it and go like, oh, that's interesting because he watches your channel a lot. And I think the same with mine because I got 3 groups, board and miniature primarily, and then a few sports people. Well, I kind of think of the sports people when I do a miniature thing or rule set. I'm like, well, yeah, all my miniature guys know about Battle Group, but these sports guys don't.
The other guys don't, right?
Even if they don't play it, it's still interesting. So I don't mind doing an unboxing. Like if you did one of Paths to Glory, it's like, well, sure, it's been done, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I kind of, I could get, I like more than the unboxings. I like the take it out of the box and show you what I got because
Like
it's always a surprise. You never know, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a, just a 10, 15-minute video that says, hey, look what I got, hey, and maybe tear it off and see what's in it. Maybe during that, if there's something interesting, but I don't know. I'd rather just show you when I have it out where you can see everything and talk about it, and stuff like that. But
my big thing on those is that, and the sites are getting better, but more just to say, when you get this game, here's exactly what you get because we don't have stores,
Exactly.
So, and even if you did, you can't open the games up usually.
I know. Paths to Hell is one of their older volumes, and it's hard. It's hard to get this basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on eBay and spend like $150 if you want to get it, right? But I ended up finding a copy on this. I will tell you where I actually ordered it from. Actually,
cool.
It was from Game Surplus. That's where it was. Game Surplus.
I've never looked at their site.
You should definitely check them out. Game Surplus. They were running a really good deal. If I was to just, let's see here. Let's just go and do a thing like we come into Google and we say Paths to Hell, right? And let's do buy Paths to Hell, right? And then it should list. All right. So if I was to, how do I share my screen? Let's see. Share screen.
You can do it. That's the cool thing about StreamYard.
Screen 1. There we go.
Whoop.
So now I move this out of the way, right? So now we can see me. So if you were to buy Paths from Hell, you're talking $63.99, $82, $119, $76, $68. So you're talking anywhere between $70 to $120 plus shipping, right?
Yep.
I got Paths to Hell on clearance, and I'm gonna fold this up so you guys can't see my personal information, like my credit card information. And all
Let's see it.
That's it. We're ordering stuff today.
Yeah, I'm online right now, ready to go.
All right, here we go. So I ordered.
Show
let's
up
see here.
Come on, focus.
Focus, baby. So that's Paths to Hell. It was on clearance.
Okay.
Right for.
Oh gosh, man, that's
$45.
Awesome. Fantastic.
$45. I got Paths of Glory for. Let's see, how much was that one? It was 46, and the last 100 yards is 42. So.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so I thought, wow, I got this good deal. I think I needed to order. I think you free shipping if you order like more than 125, I think it was. So I'm like, well, let's see if I can find something else here. So then I found Paths to Glory Deluxe Edition in the last 100 yards. Oh, Rough Swordsman. Oh, you're killing me there.
What did he say?
He's like, it's not good for us over here in the UK.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. But Game Surplus, guys, check.
Wow. Yeah, last 100 yards. You just showed this, $42.95. They still have that. Just kind of on their site here, looking what they got.
On their site, yeah. Okay, there you go.
Mets. A lot of people like the any cost Mets. Labyrinth, people into that. For the People. Yeah, they got some good.
GameSurplus.com, I bet.
Yeah, it's just
and not only that, but I mean, honestly, look at. All right, so I mean, I made a big deal of this earlier, but I'm going to make a big deal about it again. He actually wrote me a nice little personal note. Thank you, Kirk. Emily. Or I'm sorry, Elaine. I couldn't read it backwards, but thank you, Kirk. I mean, You know, it only takes a second, but it makes me feel like, hey, I actually had a person that cares about me, right?
Yep. Star Wars Armada. They got Sekigahara, which people love that game.
So they still have their sale going on, or
so Sekigahara is $69. It's now $47.95. Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge war game selection, but it's a few things. I mean, you found something you wanted. They do not have Pass to Hell anymore, anyone. I think ID cleared them out, but they got, I mean, it's some, and they got other games. This Undaunted, a lot of people are liking that Undaunted game, but yeah, cool. Well, thanks for that. It's always nice to have another source.
Yeah, exactly. Bookmark that, have it ready to go. You can definitely check it out. You know, and like I said, to try and find this game was, oh, that's not what I want. I want to see your face. I got the wrong one up. Where's your face? Where'd you go?
I'm here. I see myself.
I screwed it up by, oh, here I am. SteamYard. There we go. Okay, now I see you. So we should be back. Hey, the OG's here. How you doing, OG?
Devin.
Good to have you by, my friend. Thanks. We're talking wargaming, and love to have OG on sometime. I've been trying to get with him about coming on our channel here and talking wargaming, and we just did a big unboxing here. I got Paths to Hell. Ooh, wait.
Huge unboxing.
Last 100 Yards.
And Paths to Glory.
And Paths to Glory, the deluxe edition. So that's our goodies.
So ID, this makes me want to ask you the question now. What's your system of choice? Do you have a system? Do you prefer a system, or do you just bounce around too much?
My system of choice. Well, I was actually going to ask you that because I think that's a really good topic. Right, so I'm a tactical World War II guy, right? So you really have it narrowed down to ASL, squad leader, you know, / that starter kit thing, you know.
Yep.
I kind of put them all together.
Yep.
You have
Lock and Load.
Here, you got Lock and Load. You have Combat Commander. You have obviously
Last 100 Yards.
Last 100 Yards.
Panzer by GMT as well.
Panzer. You have Fighting Formations.
Mm-hmm.
What other? I know there's probably a couple that we're missing.
We're missing one that it's a huge one. ATS, Advanced Tobruk System, is another one.
Mm-hmm. And I used to be, actually, I got into ATS before I even got into ASL.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was my first, because I'm like, everyone does ASL. Let's try ATS. Then the problem was trying to find people to play it. And I was like, nobody knows how to play this, and everyone knows how to play ASL.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite is, and I've always liked the Lock and Load system. Even back, you know, when it first came out, it's deep and tactical, yet not overwhelming. So I would probably go with the Lock and Load Tactical as probably my current favorite and probably my past favorite. Although I've done more with other systems.
I first learned about you with ASL. That's how I first tuned into your channel.
Yeah. So my channel started by doing wargaming and specifically ASL videos, because I'm like, there's no ASL videos out there except for maybe 3 videos. And I'm like, nobody's going to learn ASL. So unless somebody steps up to the plate and starts doing videos. So I started doing videos on it. And that's how my channel grew from like literally, you know, 100 people to like 2,000 people overnight, because people are like, holy shit, there's somebody doing ASL videos.
Yeah, they're pretty hungry for that. Now we've got some good ones, some other ones out there, some good ones that have done stuff, which has been cool.
There's a lot of good ones. So what's your game of choice? Desert Island, you're going on it. What are you going on it?
It's going to be Lock and Load. It's broad enough, it's simple enough, and when I'm done playing it, I want to play it again, like immediately. I think about it. And that was what I struggled with another system. And everyone understand, if I say that, it doesn't mean I don't like the system or you're bad for playing the system. I never wanted that. I struggled with getting into wanting to play each scenario. Like so many choices. So lock and load, for sure. Tactical.
Here's what tips it for me, and you tell me if this matters to you at all or not. When I look at the ASL counters and boards that were made in 1985, and they're still using the exact same counters today without any updated graphics, any looks, or anything like that, you compare that to the counters and the map boards and everything that lock and load, it's like night and day in difference. And for me, ASL just isn't spending any money on updating anything. Well, lock and load, I see a progression. If you go back and I have some of their older games, or I had some of their older games before I moved down here, and you compare those to the newer games for me look so much better.
They have improved it for sure. OST is another tactical game we didn't mention. Old school tactical.
Right.
Which has amazing.
I did an unboxing of that last week.
Oh, how funny!
That was ordered. The wife had ordered that for Christmas, so I had to give it to her. I did an unboxing of it, and then I had to give it to her. So I do have old school tactical coming as well. I got so many things coming to my channel. It's unbelievable.
The maps on OST are pretty cool. Like that Stalingrad one, that's amazing. I don't own it, but I've just seen pictures of it. Anyway, so the graphics. This is an interesting one. I agree with I like the ASL functionality. I like the simplicity, and I like it. There's something about it that's appealing. When I see the pictures of the guys playing and I look at the boards, I'm like, something about it captivates me. And I think it's the simplicity, right? And it goes back to, it reminds you of a better time when you were younger, when you were playing those counters and something you can relate to, and you can say, yes, this look. Oh yeah, I remember when I was 16 or 20 playing this game and having a blast, and it reminds you of a better time. Yeah. So I'm okay with the graphics on it. Where I kind of get my graphic fix, but I totally understand what you're saying. And there's been a few people who've said that about ASL, right? But I get that for my miniature playing. So that's how I kind of get that immersion of the thing. Even though I've chosen lock and load, and I do like their maps and their 4K, the bigger hexes and all that. Fantastic. And what David's doing over there, I think it's cool. I'm glad someone got that game that is spending time and energy and listening to the community and growing it. I think that's awesome.
The one thing that another thing that tips the scale for me is that you learn one system, and it transfers into a plethora of different, you got East Front, West Front, you got Mediterranean, again, you got Pacific Theater, you have, partisan, campaign, you have the early French campaigns. I mean, it's just, there is any time period in World War II, and in fact, it even does Vietnam, which I actually, Somalia. That's kind of where I draw the line. I can go up to Vietnam, and then after that, it loses me a little bit. I'm not as excited about Vietnam as I am about World War II, but I can do Vietnam.
I played the Falklands expansion.
Oh yeah, how was that?
That was, did I play Kev in that? I think I played Kev Sharp in that. That was pretty fun. When you got like missiles flying around and helicopters flying nap the earth and they raise up and bam, I'm like, okay, that is pretty cool. And Falklands Wars, there's a lot of memories about that. I remember when that whole thing went down, I was 12. So there was kind of and it's very, not isolated. I'll go with isolated, or very condensed. It's like, it happened here, short time frame. Harriers, I thought that was the coolest, well, I feel weird saying cool because people died doing that. But it captivated me as a kid. So that one I did play and I liked. I don't own it yet, but it's one I'll probably buy at some point. But that's about, well, they do have a Cold War Gone Hot version of it, or Heroes Against the Red Star.
Right.
For the Red Star or whatever. I don't own that one yet, and I can see me getting that at some point, because for one reason, well, two reasons: A10s and Heinz. I love A-10 Warthogs, man. That's like
yeah.
But
the coolest airplane ever designed, right?
But I'm with you on systems. I mean, I'm so thankful for systems to learn a rule set and then just kind of expand out. That's why
there's nothing. And I don't know how you feel about this, right? But I'm a tactical World War II guy. Any World War II tactical system, I'll play it. I have no problem with any system out there, whether it's Panzer Grenadier or OTS or Combat Commander, any of them. I know there's some people out there that are like, no, I only like my ASL, or no, I only play my Combat Commander, or whatever it is. I'm the exact opposite, where I will literally go out of my way to get every single World War II tactical combat system game I can find and bring it to my house and have it here.
Yeah.
Are you a 2 or 3 kind of guy, or are you a give me everything?
I thought at one point I would do ASL and all the others. Then I realized like I would probably never get. I kind of had to back off because my collection was getting too big. So I recently reacquired some Combat Commander stuff because I was having some nostalgia for it. I'm kind of in a weird place right now. I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe, but I'm probably not going to buy OST or Last 100 Yards. Anyway, another one. I dabbled in ATS for a little bit. That's how I kind of really got to know Devin, as we played ATS together. I kind of sold out of that. I'm trying to be good boy, ID, and I'm trying to get down to one.
Yeah, because every time these packages come, they come with a bill too, right?
I think the bill more for me, and yes, there's a bill for that, and they are expensive. I can't certainly buy everything, but the bill more for me is kind of just that. Now we're going to get into metaphysical stuff here, but just owning all those games, it's kind of weighs down. Kind of like having them and not playing them. Some guys love that. It drives me. I don't know. I'm trying to minimize a little bit here. Like I've been selling off some of my minis and trying to
downsize.
Downsize a little bit.
I downsized. I had over 500 board games when I lived in Columbus, and I got rid of every single one.
Oh, wow. Every single one. Now I didn't
every single one. So we decided when we were moving down here, we got a pod. You know what a pod is, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
We decided whatever fits in the pod goes to Florida. If it don't fit in the pod, it's either going to go in the trash can or we're going to sell it. That was the 2 options. So my 6 bookshelves full of games didn't make it into the pod.
Whoa, wait.
Fortunately, Cabs ended up buying them all off of me.
Oh, that's fantastic. I was going to make
but they got them for a really good price too. So
yeah, well, at least we went to a group that they'll people play and stuff. So that's cool.
And I had more than just war games. I had just about any Ticket to Ride, Arkham Horror, just any game that I would want to play ever.
So
I probably owned it.
You didn't save any of your games? You didn't keep any of them?
I didn't save any. I sold the whole kit and caboodle.
Did you think you weren't going to ever play anymore, or like you couldn't take 5 of your top one?
Looking back, I probably should have taken some of them out, and said, no, I'm not going to sell this or something. But at the time, it was, all right, just take it all, and then when I get down there, I'll just buy them back.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that method too, right?
Because if I say to myself, oh, I got to have my lock and load game, right? Okay, and I'm going to take my lock, and then I go, well, I got to take this expansion and this expansion and this expansion and this expansion, and then I go, well, if I want to play lock and load, then I want to play this game too, and then so then you start, you get them down here. In fact, I had, and I told my sports gaming group this. I used to have like 20 to 30 different seasons of Stratomatic baseball and hockey and football, and I sold all that as well. So, I mean, I sold everything.
Let me ask you.
So it was we're downsizing when we're moving to Florida because we're no longer have a basement. We got a single-story house. We didn't have a second story. I didn't have a den upstairs. I didn't have a basement. So it's like, let's just get rid of everything that we don't need. And then when we get down there, we'll buy back whatever, we find that we need.
There's something liberating about it, I'll tell you.
And you were talking about this weight, this crunch on you, right? Okay, I got all these games. Imagine having 500 games and going, I haven't played this game in like 3 years, and I haven't played this game in like 5 years. It's like, so yeah, it was a, if I was to say, all right, I'm only going to take 5, then it's like, well, which 5 am I going to take? Because I've got so many that I want.
So is there any of them that you kind of really still at this point you're like, I really.
There's a game that Avalanche Press made, and that's why I brought it up earlier, called Late Golf. It comes with like 200. It's a World War II, Second World War at sea.
Yeah.
Late Golf, and it comes with over 2,000 ship counters and blah blah blah.
Dude,
that is one that I wish I had back, because now to get that game, you're talking on eBay $295.
Yeah.
And right. I'm like, no, I'm not spending $295. If I could find it, I would buy it if I could find somebody selling it for maybe $100.
Yeah.
Just for nostalgic sake. There's probably like 3 or 4 games that I sold that go for $200 to $300 at least now, that I wish I would have said, but at the time it's like, I had Voctum Rind, the original first edition.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Which is unpunched in perfect condition. You're talking like $150 to $200 for that one. I have trying to think of what else I had that I wish I would have held on to. You talked about ATS earlier. I actually had the Monster D-Day original game from Critical Hit there, called D-Day. Came in a green box. What the hell was the name of it? 1944 D-Day or something like that. That was like a $150 game back in the day too, with the mounted boards and so.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you run into, well, which ones are you going to keep? If I'm only going to keep 5, so I decided I'm just going to. And now I'm kind of glad I did, because
I bet
now I get to pick and choose better. What am I going to get?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like starting over again. I mean, how many of us wish we could start over again? Well, basically, I started over again.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that. One that I've kind of been dabbling in, speaking of tactical games. And again, I think what happens is I saw a picture on Facebook or something of some people setting up a squad leader game, right? I'm talking original squad leader, not advanced. And I kind of saw that and I was like, and I had it at one point, obviously. I think I've had it twice. I had it the first time and I played my friend way back in the 90s. And who knows, I don't remember what I did with it. And I had got it again sometime in the last 15 years since I kind of got into gaming. And then I sold it or traded it or whatever. And now here I am again going, it might be interesting.
I wish I could. Yeah, there's been a few games that I bought, sold, and it's like the original Panzer Blitz and Panzer Leader games.
Yeah, I've done that.
I'd be like, oh, I'm a tactical World War II. I gotta have that, and then I'd get it, and then I'd be like, oh no, I don't like this, and so I'd sell it to a buddy or somebody in cabs or whatever.
Yeah, there's a
Fusilators. I'd be like, damn, maybe I didn't give that game enough try, and I'd buy it again. So I have multiple of those experiences. So
here's something I've been kind of keeping my eye on squad leader, right? Like, spend a few bucks, and I kind of set my budget, right? Like I'm not going to spend 150 or something for sure. Not going to spend that. So I kind of set my budget, and then as I was kind of searching through, on Board Game Geek, you can have your plays and all that stuff if you're recording. And I found my play of squad leader, and my entry says, it's a nice little AAR of the battle, and then it says, I think I got my fill. I got what I needed. Now I think I'll sell it. And so here I am now. I don't know. It was
like, yeah, I remember when I went through that. Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there going, well, oh man, come on, Todd. But who knows? I'm still kind of in that flirting with it stage. You know what I'm talking about? So I don't know. We'll see.
Here's a question from one of our viewers. What is the best site to buy classic war games? Do you have any recommendations yourself for sites to buy classic war games?
I do. It's called Enterprise. Let me make sure. Enterprise Games. But if you just type Enterprise Games, you'll find it because there's no other. Enterprise Games. It's an old school site. It is not. Do not expect Amazon here. You're going to go. He's got War Game magazines, family board games, and war games. He's got new games and he's got old games. And you go in there, and sometimes you essentially have to email him and say, like, I'm Tide of Iron, Fury of the Bear is the first thing that comes up on his list of board games, and say, you still have it? Well, this is a mint one, so it's a new one. But if you look for an old one, Battle of the Alma Unpunched by 3W, you could order it, and you might like, oh shoot, I don't have that. I didn't update my site. So it's old school, but that's where I've gotten a few Enterprise Games, and then of course Board Game Geek and Facebook.
Yeah, right now if you go to Board Game Geek and you do search for whatever game you're looking for, it takes you to the little web page of it. If you scroll down the web page, kind of towards the bottom, there's now a part of it that'll show you like where you can buy it and how much it's going for. Yeah. And that's basically how I got my Paths to Hell for $45 from Game Surplus. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, I'm going to give out props to GameSurplus.com for all your gaming supply needs.
They didn't have used games, so they don't have old games like you're asking for the question, but they do have new ones. Well,
yeah, I think they're mostly, 100% new games.
I should say in shrink
games. If you're for old classic games, I think, besides that, if you can't find it on Enterprise site from what Todd mentioned, I guess your other option always is eBay. I mean, you can always go to eBay and see how much they're going for there. But let me tell you, I found out the hard way. People on eBay think their stuff is worth a lot more than it's worth.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You will see. There's a few things that I'm interested in and hoping that people relist it with a lower price. And it comes on every week. I get these posts. An item you looked at is reposted, and it comes week after week after week after week. And I'm like, dude, your game isn't worth $60. Just because there's 20 other people that list the game between $60 and $80 and none of them are selling doesn't mean your game is worth $60. Your game is only worth what you can get. I got 6 Avalanche Press games for $24.
I never find those kind of deals.
If you go on eBay and type in Avalanche Press, everyone thinks their game is worth $40 to $60 to $80. It's not, because nobody's selling them that. Yeah. Everyone thinks their games are worth a lot more, but they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, you mentioned that about your Avalanche Press games, which is a game I've, again, kind of flirted with, but have avoided so far. But I'm like, dang, you found all those games for $20. That was incredible.
That was a good deal. That was a good deal.
Most of the time on eBay, I just no.
But it's you gotta find a dude like you or me that's selling it. Half the people on eBay aren't guys like us anymore selling it. It's these game companies out there, and they're selling them on eBay.
Yeah.
That thinks that want to sell it for more than it's really worth.
So Enterprise Games, Board Game Geek, that's where you'll find people like us selling them. Also, Facebook Consem Marketplace is a great place to find games. Most of the people on there are good people, and if you're not, you get called out immediately. So most of them are good. You can find games, and people, I mean, like David Heath, who runs Lock and Load, he just is selling like 2 copies of Squad Leader in addition to like 100 other games. And it's just a photo of all the games, and he lists them all out, what he's selling for. Oftentimes, they'll take an offer of something. So if you have a game you're looking for, just kind of keep an eye out for Consem Marketplace. It's really good. And then eBay, of course.
So he's specifically, he says, I'm looking for some near
Car Wars.
mint or near mint condition Car Wars.
Well, let me look for you here. I'll just do a little search on
We'll
Enterprise
just
Games.
stop our live stream and see if we can help you out. What are we here for? We're
Car
not here
Wars.
to live chat. We're here to help our viewers.
That's right. I don't think Car Wars. Oh, wait, hold on. Car Wars. I didn't think they'd have anything. Well, so on Enterprise Games, they just have Car Wars Expansion 7, 8, and a reference screen. The expansions, which is Expansion 8 is the Chopper Challenge. Counter sheet cut in 2 parts is $25. Expansion 7, which is Off-Road Dueling. Counters are uncut. It's $25. These are both 1985. So you, sir, have an option there, but it's not the original Car Wars. I own that original Car Wars in that little plastic box. That thing was awesome. I love that thing.
And Todd's selling his copy for only $125.
That's right. Unfortunately, I probably threw it away sometime. So let's not talk about that. That just makes me sad. All right. Yeah. So Car Wars, I don't see that come up because, they kind of reprinted that. So everyone can see me typing Car Wars 1981. Oh, look at that. That box there. It's used on Amazon for $90. But hold on now. Buy a copy. eBay listings. There are 2 eBay listings from 1666.
There you go.
There
Go
are
check
2
out eBay. Type in Car Wars. Let's see if we can do that right here, right now, right?
So there's Car Wars 2nd edition with amended rulebook, 1982 version, $60. Oh, there are 29 people selling this game. So boardgamegeek.com, type in Car Wars, two words. There are a ton of people selling it. Now, you have to be careful.
There we go. Car Wars, a lot vintage Steve Jackson games, early 1980. Car Wars Deluxe Edition, $24.99 or best offer.
Look at that. Oh, look at the set down there. You got some of the. I love those little plastic boxes, man. Oh, there's some. What's that set there for?
Here's the Car Wars, the Sunday Drive, the Truck Stop, and the expansion set.
So that's a bunch of them.
So our answer, I guess, for you all is to go check out eBay for your Car Wars opportunities. Yeah, and make sure you're the highest bidder if you really want it. But don't pay too much because people think their stuff is worth a lot more. All right, guys, we have been going, believe it or not, for about an hour. No, let's mark that. Let's see. We started at 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. We've been going for 2 hours and 11 minutes. And it seems like it's been, what, 45 minutes. I swear to God.
It has only seemed like 10 hours to me. No,
oh, my God.
No.
So unless anyone has any more questions for Todd or myself, let us know in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here because I'm sure Todd might need another bathroom break here. I know I do. So it's time for us to say goodnight here unless anybody has any further questions. I'm hoping to get back together with you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We could make this a regular occurrence and talk wargaming.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I have some other questions for you too. So not right now, but another time. Yeah,
absolutely. I bet you we'll have something to talk about. That's because literally these 2.5 hours went by and I don't even know where the time went, to be honest. I mean, there's so much we haven't even covered, it's just, favorite system. I mean, we kind of talked about, the games, but we didn't talk about, whether it's a card driven system or if it's, area or it's, what kind of systems you enjoy, what's your favorite games for each of the different systems, miniatures. I want to talk to you about your miniatures. You've got wonderful videos on your miniatures and playing your miniatures and painting your miniatures.
Got it all.
I mean, just stuff galore. So we will be in touch. We'll set up another time. I will try and post and let everyone know ahead of time. Let's see if we can get together soon. And,
that'd be awesome.
And enjoy everyone coming out and talking wargaming. Also, again, if you are a wargamer out there and you're interested in joining us for a live chat, I know Rough Swordsman Wargamer, great, wonderful channel out there. I don't know if you subscribe to him.
I don't know him. That's a new one.
But he does a really good job, really thorough, and explains everything in great detail, so you're not confused. Half these people, when they do videos, you have no idea what the hell they're talking about. He does a great job on that. And if you're interested, email me email me at idjesterlive@gmail.com. idjesterlive@gmail.com. We'll set up a time for you to come on out and talk wargaming.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, I just now subscribed to him, and yet another channel I knew nothing about, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about just talking with everyone is you find out all this stuff that you had never known about, right?
Yeah,
You talk to Rough Swordsman. He's going to talk about things that we had never ever knew about that might actually help us. So, lots to talk about with Itinerant Hobbyist. If you are not a subscriber, make sure you go subscribe to his channel. Great, wonderful job. Miniatures, board gaming, and a little bit of sports.
So that I'm just the opposite of Rough Swordsman. He talked about how good and thorough and all his are. Mine are not that way. Mine are thrown together haphazardly, but doggone it, it's fun. So
that's that. I was just going to say, now you're kind of the opposite, where you just, most of them are, you're just going off the cuff, right?
Yes.
You're just, this is what I'm thinking. But you know what? What I enjoy about it is it comes from, from the spur of the moment. It's not like you think about these things and decide how your video or what's going to happen, and it really draws the viewer into what's going on, because you get these live reactions and thoughts and comments and oh, you know what, I should have done this instead.
yeah
right,
different ways. That's why it's so cool. There's so many channels. There's all the different approaches and stuff. So
well, I want to thank you for joining me, and like I said, anytime, my friend, anytime. We could have at least another 2,000 hours to talk about things. I'm sure, because we've got so much to cover.
Yep, love the hobby.
Appreciate it. All right,
appreciate
guys,
the time.
Thanks everyone for coming out. Rough Swordsman, Telefor, Beck, Al Red Sox fan. Oh geez, there's so many good people. Tony Kinner, Devin OG, make sure you check out his wonderful channel as well. Phantomatic was here. 666 Park Flunk. If I'm missing anybody's name, I apologize. Mate Lot 2001. And I'm not sure if anyone else came or not. But
Tony Kenner was on here. Tony's got a
good
Tony.
Too. There you go. Sorry about that. Yeah, all right, guys. We will see everyone very, very soon. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and hope to talk with Itinerant Hobbyist soon.
Yep.
Till then, take care, guys.
Thanks.